Crossings homeowners, this is Kevin Curtin, another unit owner here, and this video is to try to help people maintain and repair their windows at the crossings. The reason I'm doing this is because all of us as unit owners have some maintenance responsibilities, and one of those maintenance responsibilities is, quoting now, routine cleaning and repair of window frames and mechanism and replacement of glass and screening. And so what I'd like to do is make a video or two showing routine cleaning and repair of window frames and mechanism. And so what I'd like to do is first, this video is going to show cleaning and maintenance of a window that is working correctly now, and then the next video is going to be maintenance and repair, cleaning, maintenance, and repair of a window that is not functioning correctly now. And so here we go. Let's take a look at these windows. So these are a set of windows. They're in my bedroom. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, they are the same windows that were installed when the place was built. I have no knowledge that these are anything new, and from other ones I've seen, I think these are the original windows. The tools that I'm going to use for this project are a very complicated set. This is a step stool, which I'm not even going to step on. It's just to rest the window on. When I tilt it back, you could use a chair or anything that's about that same height so that the window doesn't drop. A vacuum cleaner with an attachment, and then I'm going to use a screwdriver, which I'm really just going to use to scrape up dirt so I can vacuum it up. Windex and paper towel rolls so I can clean stuff, and then a can of WD-40 because it's not really a maintenance job unless you've squirted WD-40 on something. So here we go. This is a typical window. It's going to be hard. I'm trying to videotape this myself, but I'm going to go down here, and so I'm sure that the locking mechanism is right there. If you tilt that back, you should be able to lift up on the window. Ooh, he said, struggling. There he goes. Lift up on that window. It's a little harder than I would have liked, but it goes up, and you can see it stays up. And I can actually keep pushing up, and sure enough, stays up, looks good. I'm letting all my air conditioning out. You can see that there is a screen in there. There's going to maybe be another video. I'm not a big screen fan, but we'll talk about screens later. But this one is roughly in place, and so what do I want to do? Well, I want to clean it. The reason actually why I wanted to do this in the first place is because look how dirty my window is. I want to clean the inside, the outside of my window. It's just horribly dirty. It's got mud dust that's splashed up and become mud on that. From the outside, I could get to the top one, and I can get to the top one on the inside too, but this bottom one, because that screen is in place and the screen is not designed to be pulled off from the outside. You will wreck your screen if you try to pull it off from the outside. In order to do this, I need to tilt this window in as it was designed to do. It's part of what its mechanism does. So that's what I want to do. I want to tilt this in so that I can clean it. Gosh, I hope you can see this. Alright, so now I'm lowering the window, and again, I can lower it to any height. That's how the windows are supposed to work. I know that some of you have windows that don't stay up. That's our next video. Once we do that, again, trying to video and do this with one hand, there are two latches over here. Now you don't want to break those latches. These latches right here hold the window in place. And by the way, this is your mechanism. This tube that you're going to see right here. We're going to talk about the mechanism in a little while. There's a tube on either side. We're going to get more to that. But at the moment, there's just these two latches. All that they do is have one little tooth that holds this into place. And if you pull that back and let it come out just a little bit, you can see that this window is going to start to tilt out. Of course, I have to do the other side too. So tilt that out. And then now, you don't want to just drop the window at this point. You drop the window and it's going to crash. And that would not be good. So now I can tilt it down, and that's why I brought my stool over here so I can set my stool right on there. And the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm not going to videotape this, is I'm going to clean my window, and I'll come back to you after I have cleaned my window. Okay, so I just cleaned off this glass. It was so filthy I had to go get a rag and clean off, try to get the frame, mud off of the frame, or dust, dirt, whatever it is off the frame. I'm sure it's not as good as my mom would want it to be, but she's not here, and I got to finish this video. Now, I also took my trusty vacuum cleaner and vacuumed off the screen a little bit. I might do some more of that later. I realize that now that I have the window tilted out that I can't really get down to the sill there. So once I put the window back up, I'm going to clean, in here underneath there and get that dirt out of there so that it doesn't splash up on the window again. But while I've got it down here, I want to talk about the mechanism, what a mechanism should look like. It's actually a pretty darn simple mechanism in these windows. It's made up of essentially 3 parts, 2 of which I'm going to be able to show you right now. The one that I can't really show you, but you'll see in the next video, is that underneath here there's something called a pivot rod, and it lives. There's one on this side and one on the other side, and they live in this groove in the bottom of the window. They stick out. They're on a spring, and they spring out and they stick down into this little white plastic piece right here, which is called the pivot foot. So those are 2 pieces. The third piece is this long, I don't know if you can see in this video, I hope you can see if the light's good enough, this long spiral that goes up into this tube, and that is actually called, you guessed it, a tubular spiral. Okay, neighbors, my phone just died, so I took that opportunity to get most of the schmutz out of the windowsill there, I guess it's called. And again, could probably do better, but I'm going to leave it there for now. I was in the middle of talking about the mechanism. The mechanism, I'll just show you when the window's up. You can probably see there's essentially these grooves in here, and the mechanism slides up and down in these grooves. We're going to talk about those grooves. Hopefully you can see me pointing to that. Grooves in here. But for the moment, let me put the window back down so it's 6 or 8 inches off, open. I'm going to unhook again my latches, I guess they're called, of some sort here. Gently lower it down and move my stool in place so I can hold it there. And so on the previous video, I was basically showing, this screen is not quite in place there. I can set it in place a little bit better there. I was trying to show this mechanism here. And so the mechanism, we said we've got the pivot rod that comes out of the bottom of this, what I see people calling the sash. This lower window is, I think, hopefully I'm right. By the way, I should have said on this video, I don't know the first thing about windows. Anything I show you here is just common sense from some guy that happened to start messing around with his windows. So I hear people referring to this as the sash or the lower window, whatever you want to call it. There's a pivot rod that springs out from the bottom of this bottom window, springs out into the pivot foot, and then goes into this spiral mechanism that goes into this tube. And as I was about to say when my phone died, that's called a tubular spiral balance. And I think that's a holdover. The word balance is that holdover from the old days when you actually had weights that would be sliding down inside. Instead, this thing has basically a spring inside, which allows you to spring it up and spring it down, and it kind of stays in place. I guess you could say, so those are the 3 pieces, the pivot rod, the pivot foot, and the tubular balance. Technically, there's probably something additional up here. This thing is a stop so that you don't raise the window up too high. But that's basically just a piece of metal that's in place there, so you don't crank the window all the way up, and there you have it. That's a stop. And then there's a few screws that hold these various things in place. But that's it. That's the mechanism. So in terms of maintaining that mechanism, what I'm going to actually do, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to videotape this or not, but I'm going to start getting some lubricant on that, hopefully to make it slide just a little bit easier. So let me put this on pause for a minute and figure out how I'm going to put that lubricant on the mechanism. Alright folks, I don't know if this is good sense or not, but what I'm going to do to lubricate this is I'm going to take some WD-40, because on my tubular spiral balance, gosh, can you see that? I can't get up into it because there's a cap on that in there. So the only way into it is on the spiral itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take an old toothbrush, which will be thrown away after this, and I'm going to spray some WD-40 on the toothbrush, and I'm just going to brush that on this spiral. and it's not getting too much on there, and I suppose I could just spray the WD-40 right on it. But in any case, that should, you know, at least I was taught WD-40 keeps things from rusting. So that's what I'm doing. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Do the same thing on the other side. Yes, it has that telltale smell of WD-40. Makes it smell like something is happening. So there we go. I'll probably have to clean my window again now that I sprayed WD-40 on a paper towel on top of it, but there you go. I'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to actually test that now and see if there's any difference, and I want to sort of get that WD-40 up into the mechanism, so I'm going to put this on pause. I'm going to raise my window up. Actually, I'll just do that right now. Raise the window. Be careful not to drop it. It's harder when you're doing it with one hand and holding a video camera in the other. Snap those back in place. Don't break those little teeth off. Snap that back in place, and then I'm going to open and close it a few times and see if that changes anything in terms of, you know, its stickiness. It's actually going pretty good right now. Ooh, it feels even a little bit better already. I may, you know what, I'm just going to keep videoing for the moment. It feels pretty good. I mean, I'm not using too much force, but I'm going to try one more thing. Now, I didn't talk about this at the beginning, but I think I'm going to do one more thing. This is a can of heavy-duty silicone multi-use lubricant, and I'm going to put its little straw in place if I can. Oh, darn. There it goes. Alright, you can get this at any hardware store. Shake it up, and I'm going to try to put some lubricant, hopefully I won't lubricate this thing too much, inside the grooves that plastic foot slides up and down. And in fact, I'm going to put this all the way up. Oh, it's already up against its stop up there, which we talked about a minute ago. And I'm just squirt a little bit of lubricant down this groove. And I'm going to try to get up the other side. It's a little harder to get up there. And this lubricant, it does say on the bottle, is fine for metal and plastic, so that's what I got going here. That foot is a piece of plastic, and this window is metal, to be sure. I think I'm probably using too much. Alright, now let's try it. Wow, that felt pretty good. Boy, remember how when I first tried to open this, I had to push pretty hard? Now, wow, it's going up pretty easy. So, staying up where it's supposed to stay, coming up and down pretty easy. In my opinion, folks, that is a properly cleaned, properly maintained frame, mechanism. So there you have it. Next video is going to be, what if my mechanism is broken? Okay, thanks, bye.